So I've always been a big fan of John Buscema and his Conan run. He's probably one of my favorite artists. I say that about every artist that I do a video on, but I wanted to cover some John Buscema. And Wolverine is probably one of my favorite characters. Not my favorite, but he's definitely in my top three. And I just got this book recently because I've never actually read the original Wolverine series. I think it was the second Wolverine series technically because I think Frank Miller and Chris Claremont did a Wolverine series. But I wanted to open this book up and really just kind of look at John Buscema's art because to me, he's an absolute, well, he was an absolute master. And yeah, I just wanted to take a look at this and actually compare it to the Conan stuff because I love his Conan stuff. And I wanted to see exactly how he did on Wolverine. I've never opened this before, never read it. I just picked it up. I know Gene Colan's on here. Gene Colan was he was a big Daredevil artist and also an amazing artist as well. But I just kind of want to open this up and see. So we open up with this amazing splash page showing Buscema at his finest. Um, it reminds me of the Conan work, but it also feels very different from the Conan work as well. It's interesting. Um, but yeah, I'm assuming these are yeah. So these are covers. Klaus Janson was the anchor on this. That's pretty interesting. And look at that opening page. I mean, it's so simple, but it works. Now I know Buscema was not a big fan of superhero kind of stuff. I know he was more interested in the fantasy stuff like Conan. But it's going to be interesting to see him do Wolverine because Wolverine, I mean, I guess you could call him a superhero, but not really. I wouldn't. But yeah, man, love that lighting there. His stuff was so dynamic. I think, you know, if you're an artist who can make your work dynamic and look great, I mean, you're definitely up there in the top echelon of artists in comics, and Buscema is definitely there. Very simplistic, very far away kind of stuff. I feel the first thing I notice is this stuff doesn't feel. I mean, you get stuff like this that's very detailed. It doesn't feel as detailed as the Conan stuff, but also that could also be because of Klaus Janson. Klaus Janson, obviously famous for being Frank Miller's anchor on Daredevil and, of course, Dark Knight Returns. So he's kind of a big deal inker. This probably, when this came out, this probably was like a huge seller because you have a guy like Buscema who has been doing Conan for so long and then comes in and does Wolverine. It probably did really, really well. One of my favorite things about Buscema is his anatomy and how he's able to make it so dynamic. I mean, look at that. Look at that panel. The panel is unbelievable. I mean, this looks stiff and boring, but you know, you have this front on, you know, look, and then you just have so much dynamic. I mean, look at the force of that kick. You know, that guy's kicking really hard. But yeah, man, I mean, he's just really unbelievable. I love the hatching on that. That's obviously uh, Klaus Janson, but I will say one thing about this book. This book is way too colorful for Wolverine. Um, but, you know, very simple, you know, lines. So this, oh, okay, so this is Marvel Comics Presents. Okay, that makes sense now. Look at that cover. That's a great cover. So we're back with Klaus Janson, and these are obviously written by Chris Claremont. And I love that panel and the movement of that drapery on her shirt. Very 80s. Very 80s looking. I love the color on this. I didn't, it does feel a little too colorful, but yeah, I think he finally gets his suit here because I didn't see it in the first part. He barely was even in the first part. I think there was a storyline. Again, I haven't read this. I'm going to read this at some point, but I look at the art. I enjoy looking at the art, and then because what I do when I read comics is I read the dialogue and then I have to go back and look at the art again. I can't, for some weird reason with my brain, I can't read this box of dialogue, look at the picture, read this box of dialogue, then look back at it. I'm not that kind of person. I just keep reading all the way through. So I like to look at the art first. And man, Buscema's storytelling is amazing. I love that. She blows this stuff in his face, but it looks so good. Yeah, look at that. She's jumping on the bike. His storytelling is amazing. It's so clear. She's running down. She runs down. She finds the bike. She jumps on the bike. She drives away. And then she comes back and hits Wolverine. Amazing storytelling. I mean, Buscema was really a master. I guess the color is quite striking on this. This reminds me of Barry Windsor Smith in Weapon X, that purple. Who colored this? Sorry, real quick. Glynis Oliver? I don't know who that is, but I'm not really familiar with colorists. But yeah, I mean, these are... And I've been trying to get my hand... Look at that. That reminds me of Conan. That reminds me a lot of Conan. That's a great drawing. The way he drew rib cages, it's very Bridgman-like. He reminds me a lot of like a cartoony version of Frank Frazetta. That I love that page. Yeah. Drew great women too. Him and Ramita Senior drew great women. Man, I mean, look. I mean, you open that up. That's a hell of a splash page. Sorry, I had to go back and look at that again. I love the arm. Like the arms are perfect. I look at these books to kind of practice, learn comic book anatomy as best as I possibly can because I use anatomy books to learn how to draw anatomy, but then I like to kind of come in and look at the stylized anatomy, and Buscema is one of the best to watch or to look at. I'm sorry. Um, Man, I love that face, and then he's pulling out of the chains, and he breaks free, and then he lifts his arm up, and then he falls to the ground. I mean, that is an amazing page right there. The storytelling on that. I mean, the art is amazing. The storytelling is amazing. The inking is amazing. And I love the color, too. I like it when the darker colors are used on these. I mean, obviously, I know this is on different paper. This would have been on newsprint, so the colors wouldn't have come in as clear. But, man, they look great. I don't even know if these are recolored. They might be. That's such a difficult position to draw. But, man, Buscema's got it down. And I love the muscles and, the tricep is there, and then it goes into the forearm. Looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. That bicep is over to the side. You can see the, whatchamacallit, the scapula on the back. I love that. That's a great drawing. Man, the way he draws back, I mean, it's starting to feel a lot more like Conan. Which is cool. I mean, that's what it is. All right, so we have Klaus Janson still, and we have John Buscema still as penciler. I believe John Buscema is like the majority of this, but there is some Gene Colan. When we get to Gene Colan, it will be different, obviously. And then I'll talk about that, or maybe I'll just flip through it. I'm not sure, but I do have some of the Marvel Essentials on Daredevil that I can go through with Gene Colan in black and white, so I'll probably go through that at some point. But yeah. Unbelievable. It's great. No backgrounds here. Like, very few backgrounds. That's the thing about comics. You don't have to draw a lot of backgrounds. There are certain stories that you probably have to. Well, that I think you have to, like if you're doing like a sci-fi or something like that. But I mean, you can get away with just doing these very simple, just colors, because you're working on a monthly book, so You don't have the time to draw, you know, perfect backgrounds. And Buscema's strong point to me was not the background, it was the figure. And if you wanted to see one of the best figure drawers in comics, Buscema was your man. Absolutely amazing. I mean, look how simple that panel is. So I'm guessing he's coming back after that girl hit him with a bike. Look at that. Man. So little detail there, but it works. The forms are all there. I mean, he doesn't even have nipples. You can sort of see the clavicle, but it's just a simple line. And you go, okay, that's the clavicle or the collarbone, you know, and then it goes into the form. Very flat shape. I mean, or a shape that's flat, but it flat on the top, but it's so there's so much form in it. His form is unbelievable. You know, you see that kind of. Anyways, amazing, and yeah, I mean, I could break down the anatomy as much as I possibly can try. I mean, I'm not an anatomy expert, but I know a fair amount, enough to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so I'm guessing this is the patch thing. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, man. I mean, look at that perspective. Looking looking down. Amazing. Any panels that are on the bottom, I'll try to move them up. Alright, after this one, I'm going to go a little bit further in. I love this cover. That's an amazing cover. I'm trying to see who did the cover. Alright, so, I mean, underwater stuff, really difficult to draw. Sorry. Underwater stuff, really difficult to draw. But man, he drew it great. The drapery moving in, moving around. Alright, let's fast forward a little bit further. I mean, I could look at this all day, but yeah, man. Look at that cover. Man, Buscema. What a master. Just simple lines in the background with that green. There's still, he's just going, I don't really need to draw backgrounds. And he doesn't. It works. Oh, I love that. I love that color there. That black and the blue and the white. Absolutely amazing. Man. So make sure there's no stories that I'm missing, because I know there is a popular one. Sorry, I'm just going through it. I probably should have had this ready already. Probably should have put a post-it on it. It's like, man, you're ruining all the art. I know. Maybe I skipped past it. Or, no, I see it. It's gotta be this issue. Oh, maybe it's not. Anyways, I love these gallery pieces, too. Man, they're amazing. Absolutely amazing. Man. Buscema, easily one of the top 5 in my book. Man, I love the way he does the hair. Man, look at that. Pin up by Barry Windsor Smith. That's our guy. Man, huge fan of Barry Windsor Smith. I love these covers, too. These covers are amazing. Absolutely amazing. Man. I'm gonna flip through these real quick. Kind of just get a look at the art. He did drapery. Amazing. I love that panel. That panel's great. Now he's starting to add like vehicles and stuff like that, but still you got these simple backgrounds, so it's just a solid color with some lines going. And it works, and then the lines are going that way because he's going the opposite way. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing art. Oh, you know, a little racist, but you know, different times, I suppose. Different times. Man, his storytelling was unbelievable. Absolutely amazing. Man, look at these panels. I love this panel right here. Sorry, hold on, I'm going back real quick. Alright. Because that didn't look very John Buscema-like, so I wanted to be like, is it really John Buscema? It is. The rest of it did. Todd McFarlane. Toddy Mac. That had to have been done a long time ago. I love the way he does the Hulk. Absolutely love his Hulk. Just kind of going through this. Man, look at the movement of those bikes. If you're not a Buscema fan, man, I don't know. I don't know if you could watch this channel. Man, look at these. Man, I just love those lines. Who was inking on this? Sorry, I had to go back and see. Ken Bruzenak. Alright. I'm probably saying his name wrong. But. And that's the thing, is like, I don't think the inker makes Buscema. I think Buscema makes Buscema. Look at that. I would have liked to have seen more of the anatomy on the Hulk. But absolutely amazing. This is the really, yeah. Ah, there we go. Look at that. Look at that shot. Man. What a great Hulk. That's an amazing Hulk. I absolutely love that. I'm happy that I own this book now, just for that page. That page alone was worth it. Man. Just gonna flip through these real quick. I love that panel. And the lettering is great too. I love that panel too. And he punches him. He's going back, man. He hit him so hard. This is an amazing, oh man, look at that. That's a Rob Liefeld. I'm not a big Rob Liefeld fan, but I'm going to be honest with you, the moment I saw that, I went, that looks great. And the feet are drawn well, so I will give Rob credit where credit's due. I don't know where Gene Colan is in this. Oh, here we go. Here's Gene Colan. So is the rest Gene Colan? It looks amazing. But it's jarring when you switch an artist, you know, you go, oh man, doesn't look like the previous one. You know, the previous issue that I bought last month. But it looks great. I mean, does it look as good as Buscema? That's debatable. Not a big fan of that. That does not look very good, in my opinion. Very muddy. Maybe it's the color, or maybe it would have looked better. The yellow teeth, that's an interesting choice. Matt Wagner piece. I love these pinups, man. Alright, so we're back to John Buscema. Thankfully. Absolutely amazing. So dynamic. I mean, the movement is amazing, and these lines, just to kind of show, like, oh, you know, there's movement. I love that pose as well. You know, you draw Conan for, God, I don't know how long, for a very long time. You're going to be able to draw action very well. I love that. I mean, you look at his artwork, he's not faking those muscles. You know, that I may take back what I just said. That looks, I mean, it looks kind of right, but it looks kind of off as well. But it's Buscema, man. Look at that. Just such beefy characters, but it works. Look at that punch to the stomach. It lifts him up in the air. Boom. Man, look at that storytelling. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. I love this panel too. It's just weird. It's just different. It's cool. Absolutely amazing panels. Just kind of going through this and trying to point out stuff that... That's a great piece too by Kent Williams. So we... Huh. So Bill Sienkiewicz is inking this. Very interesting. John Buscema on pencils and Bill Sienkiewicz. Man, look at that. Looks amazing. So much, it's so dynamic. Absolutely wonderful. Look at that. Even that suit of armor looks great. Look at that. Man, you know how it went, I mean, he drew Conan for so long, but man, horses seem really difficult to do. So we still have more Bill Sienkiewicz. I can't wait to read these, actually. I mean, I didn't buy these to really read them. I'm going to. But I bought them for the art because Buscema, man, he knows how to draw. And he's not being that lazy with the backgrounds. And I love that panel. I love the color on that too. Very Barry Windsor Smith. Who's coloring on this? Sorry, I have to look at every issue to see who's doing what. Alright, so it's the same colorist, I'm assuming, throughout the entire series. But yeah. Reminiscent of fucking the Joker. Or, yeah, of Dark Knight. Joker sticking his head out. Absolutely amazing. I'm not a big fan of these covers. I wouldn't have been interested in these covers. They just look like they're done very... I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the cover art. But John Buscema again. And who's the... Is it still Bill Sienkiewicz? Still Bill Sienkiewicz. Man, look at that. Reminiscent of the Conan days, huh? Man. Sorry. I'm just trying to look at it myself. Just even the movement of throwing something. That's a great panel. The action in these books are unbelievable. I don't want to rip it. I gotta be honest with you, I think Marvel does really great stuff with these, what are they, Epic collections? So, I mean, you get a lot. I mean, even going through this has taken me quite some time. But, yeah, man, I love that. Absolutely love that. Alright, so let's skip through some of this stuff. Just kind of get some beats here. Man, look at that. That does not look like John Buscema. But, yeah. Now we're starting to get back into stuff that doesn't seem as interesting as it was. It starts to kind of slow down a bit. But still, I mean, I still like it. I still like it. Man, he drew torsos. You know, rib cages and upper bodies a certain way. I love that panel. Just amazing, those close-ups. Stuff's really difficult to draw. I mean, how dynamic it is. I mean, this stuff is not easy. I mean, you got one. Look at that. Look at that panel, for instance, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 10 people in one panel, moving in insane directions with so much dynamic drawing, and it looks great. It doesn't look overcrowded. It doesn't look terrible. I mean, this must have been a really difficult issue to draw, because there's a lot of action going on with a lot of guys. But it works. Look at that. Oh man, look at that coloring. Oop. Fuck, I almost lost my page. Thankfully I didn't. I love that kind of just hunched over look. Absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to read these fucking stories. I mean, this is pretty much just Buscema. I mean, this one seems more detailed and more... I mean, but, man, I think the reason why those beginning pages looked boring was because there was a lot that he was going to have to draw later on. Man, another page. Just a lot going on. What an absolute pro drawing that. Okay, well, I think I ripped a page. But anyways, absolute pro. As you can tell, I don't take very good care of my comics or my books. I try to. I desperately try to. Anyways, so here we go. Some information. I love that. I love that drawing. Absolutely love it. Love that cover too. Man, these are definitely worth it. Well, look at that. I did not see that cover in this book. I know it's in here somewhere. I probably skipped the entire story, but here's some pinups. I know this is about John Buscema, but that's a great John Buscema cover. I love the Punisher and Wolverine, you know, drawing that he does. Man, that's a great cover. Absolutely amazing. The Essential Wolverine, I was gonna buy that at one point, but I decided, I'm gonna buy this instead. But yeah, and then you got these pages. Alright, I had to do some editing because I hit my head on my camera like a fucking moron. Anyways, so yeah, here's some pages. Absolutely amazing. I love these covers. I wish they had made the pages slightly bigger. I don't know if I said that before I hit my head on the thing, but you have to like go in, you know, and look very closely with like a magnifying glass to see these pages. But I like that they added it, so you know, I'm gonna look closely at those. So yeah, I think they did an amazing job with this. I want to find that cover real quick. That amazing Wolverine cover, that iconic Wolverine cover. Will I find it? Who knows? It's probably... Let's see if it's actually going in order. Okay, so I believe it's gonna be... here. Man, look at that cover. Look at that. Man. Buscema at his finest. Anyways, absolutely amazing epic collection. I'm happy I got it, and I'm going to go through some more Buscema. I'm going to go through his Conan stuff, because I'm a huge fan of his. I don't have his Avengers. I think he did Avengers. I don't have any of that stuff, so I'll have to pick that up at some point. But and I'm eventually going to do my top favorite comic book artist, and I will tell you, spoiler alert, this guy is definitely in the top 5. I can tell you that. So, absolutely amazing. I love this stuff. This is John Byrne, so I think this was on the back of the first issue, I believe. So I could talk about this forever, man. But yeah, I'm a huge Buscema fan, and I just love the dynamic, just how dynamic it is. And the other thing about this book is I feel like as time goes on, as amazing as Buscema is, he starts to kind of get himself more into it. I love this page. Absolutely love this page. But, yeah. The Gil Kane stuff, I'm happy that there was a little bit of Gil Kane stuff. I think it's one issue of Gil Kane. They had to add it, obviously, for continuity purposes. But, or not Gil Kane, I'm sorry. Gene Colan. I don't know why I said Gil Kane. Gene Colan. But, yeah. Absolutely amazing. Huge fan of Wolverine. Huge fan of John Buscema. You cannot go wrong.